right. We had some technical difficulties, but we are here for Mental Health Monday, and I have Patrick Labatt here as my special guest, who is running for Fulton County Sheriff. And we are here to talk about some civil rights and human rights things and equality and justice. So, hi, Patrick.
How are you? It's certainly a pleasure to be here.
Listen, I appreciate it because I know that this is a very busy night for you and that you all have a lot going on, but I appreciate you coming and having this conversation with me because I thought it was important enough to have it for Mental Health Monday. And so I just want to jump right into our conversation since we started a little bit behind, and I have Sheriff Melody Maddox coming up behind you. So, you know, we've had a lot of civil rights icons to leave this earth in the last few months. You know, Reverend Joseph Lowry, and then we had C.T. Vivian, and then we had Representative John Lewis. And so I am curious about the impact of those lives on your life and who it is that you are.
And so it's interesting. My mom grew up in the student movement. And so being raised by a single Black female with all of the underlining understanding, right? And I say it like that because many generations, I won't say we skipped a generation, many generations don't understand. Right. And so when you have legacies, right? You talk about Dr. C.T. Vivian, his son and I are friends. But to watch him learn from his father, Al teaches one of the best in the country diversity classes. And so to be kind of one step removed, right? We say all the time that Atlanta and Fulton County as a whole, you're only one step removed from somebody else you know or don't know or family. And so certainly having been around both Dr. Vivian and Representative Lewis, those things matter. And so, you know, my mom would be one of the first to say, hey, go introduce yourself. And that it's almost a lost art. And so when you have someone like Congressman Lewis say, listen, Chief, when you want to bring your people to your students, right? We started a junior corrections academy. We didn't get a chance to make it, but one of the things he offered, said, I have the best office in Congress. It overlooks the plaza, and please bring them up anytime you want to come up and let me just show them. And for us, that's what that was about. This was about changing lives. Right. And that's what they did. They created an environment for us that allowed life-changing experiences. And many of our kids don't get to look beyond the next day, but certainly not beyond Atlanta in some areas or certain areas of the county. And it's just time for us to follow in those footsteps, be very thoughtful about that. And so personally, I try and be available to everyone that asks, right? You know, it's difficult following in such great footsteps, but it's a wonderful opportunity for us when we start talking about generational change.
So Patrick, this is Mental Health Monday. And so, you know, I am a psychotherapist, so I have to focus on, you know, mental health. I have a question in terms of mental health and the legal system and how you see those, if you see those as being intertwined at all.
They have to be, as you know, and I believe we discussed this almost at length, right? The jails have become the mental health hospitals around the country, especially here in Georgia, since a lot of the mental health hospitals have been shut down. Yeah. And so we did a good job at the city of partnering with the mental health experts at Grady Hospital because we can't do this by ourselves. They have to be intertwined. And so while some of the most dangerous calls that a deputy or an officer can go to may involve a mental health participant or be entwined in that piece, we have to do a better job of making sure that we have the resources, right? Every incident you may not need a gun for every incident, but we need certain training, certain CIT training. I'm sure you have pushed, especially when it comes to law enforcement. enforcement. But here's the other thing that I have been pushing that no other candidate has, at least in Fulton County. I love Melanie. I think she's been doing a great job. And we'll make a great sheriff. She's already won the 4-year term piece. But this is what I've been pushing. I hope we set the standard once I become sheriff. And that is mental health should not be, there should not be a stigma that comes along with it. And so part of that, though, is the psychological examination. And so when I started in law enforcement 30 years ago, I had a psych eval.
Right.
And 30 years later, we are still judging me, right, by that same psych eval. And so what we have to do a better job of, and what I'm promoting is once a year, our deputies will have a psych evaluation. There's a lot to unpack, right? You see it all the time.
Yes.
And so we're asking young men and women to go into some of the most dangerous situations and not have a chance to unpack a lot of that. And so we just have to do a better job.
Yeah, because, Patrick, I always tell people when they come to me for therapy, and I say, one of the questions that you should ask any therapist is if they have a therapist, because we absorb so many people's stuff that we have to have a place to go and unpack it. And what people don't realize is that we all change every day. We don't all grow every day, but we all change every day. And so who you are when you start in law enforcement and you spend a significant amount of time growing that career, you're not the same person that you were when you started. And so I think that that's an awesome idea, that there will be regular assessments to evaluate where people are, what they've gone through, and the potential impact that how they do their job could be had on what they've been through. So I think that that's awesome.
Absolutely.
How would you describe the climate today in terms of civil rights and human rights and just justice and equality and all of this stuff that we're living in 2020, especially?
And it's been a challenging year both for law enforcement and both for our community. I believe that it is our responsibility as law enforcement to extend that proverbial olive branch, if you will, so that we can start rebuilding trust. We have to get back in our community. As you know, President Obama's 21st century policing talked about how important our communities are, how important building trust is. And so one of the things that I want to do when I become sheriff is we have an unusual opportunity, and that is that there is no Republican candidate. So August 12th, good Lord willing, the creek don't rise, as my mama would say, I'll become sheriff-elect, and that gives us 4 months to transition. And so we can be very thoughtful about how we focus on our community, who we engage in that transitioning team. And so we can start really building trust. That's the big part. Yeah. That's the big part, is that we have to build trust amongst our community. And then we want to focus on customer service, because regardless of whether you are in custody or out of custody, when you focus on customer service, then you start building that trust. And so we can listen to professionals such as yourself to learn how we can do better. And that's what we want to focus on. We want to focus on right now. The trust has been broken, and the climate is just not healthy for anybody. And so we want to really be thoughtful about that.
And, I think we grew up in an era where we did not view the police as bad people. And so between social media and television and just, social media in particular, I think that it illuminates a lot of the bad. And I think that, some of what we are experiencing has probably always been present, but because we did not have a social media aspect, it was not, publicized as quickly as things are now. And so, I think that it's important when you talk about how do we get back to police being seen as an asset and not a threat. And, a lot of times people say, well, police are bad people. And I say, but don't you know there are bad doctors, bad lawyers, bad teachers? They're just bad people, but we can't lump everybody in the same category because of a few things that a few people do. And I think that assessment piece that you're talking about is important. But, are there other steps that you will take to kind of highlight the good and weed out the bad? I mean, as best you can.
And a couple of things we have to do first. First, we got to understand that good officers, no one hates a bad officer more than a good officer.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to understand that there are bad apples, but that doesn't mean they're all bad apples.
That's right.
As you pointed out, in every profession, there has been someone to take advantage of the circumstances, right, or go beyond the limits. I believe it starts with leadership. Mm-hmm. For me, that means that every single day, and we got a really great track record of making sure customer service is put first at the city, and we want to expand that to the county. But a really great track record, and this is it, making sure people understand that our hearts are bigger than our badges. Mm-hmm. And then we're able to start that transition. And here's the other thing that we're losing. We are losing the opportunity to make sure, as noble a profession as law enforcement is, that the younger generation doesn't want to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. And so what I want to do is create a cyber SWAT team. Mm-hmm. And that cyber SWAT team with an average age of 25 years old or younger, because they're techno geeks coming up, right? And that's how I classify it, just in saying that they're smarter than me, right? We had a delay at the beginning, and that was because of me, right? In terms of the technology involved. But you have so many women and men that are experts at this. Mm-hmm. We can fold and wrap our arms around what they like to do, and then they become proud members of the sheriff's office. Right. And at that point, we can certainly start recruiting and retaining good talent. Mm-hmm. And there are people that want to do it. We just have to make sure they know we have their best interests at heart. Right. And that they start to see the value that they can add to the profession. Because again, I think so many police officers have gotten a bad rap that the younger generation is, and they are different. The millennials were something else, but these Zers are really something else, because they feel like they can conquer the world. And if they get involved, they really want to know, how is this going to benefit me? We kind of grew up thinking we're supposed to be giving back to everybody else. They want to know, well, who's going to give to me? But I definitely think that because of their level of intelligence, they are certainly an asset. We can't leave the Zers out of anything, because they are our future. And so, which leads me to my next question. What impact do you feel that you're making to ensure that your community and your world become a better place? And well, that's easy for me. One of the things that we focused on with respect to our community, we wanted to show and prove that a jail could have that impact. Mm-hmm. We created a couple programs, the Junior Correction Academy. For me, that was it's not a scared straight program. Mm-hmm. It's about, and I don't say kids are at risk, I say they're at promise. Mm-hmm. And we have to look beyond even where they think they can see for themselves, so that we can move together in those spaces. And let me tell you what I mean. We started this program. We started taking different cohorts 6 weeks at a time, including a segment for parents only. But we certainly took them through the courts, certainly took them through the jails, the homeless shelters. But we also took them to Hartsville-Jackson. Mm-hmm. We also took them to Charlie Brown Airport, put them in a control tower, which many of us will never see. Right. And I often say, as those kids watch those airplanes lift off, you could see their hopes and dreams lift off higher as well. It's about looking beyond where they are right now. And one of the things that we also did was we took them to the morgue. Mm-hmm. So they understand now about choices and which directions they want to have. Do they want to help rebuild this airplane while we're flying it, because it's a tough challenge? Mm-hmm. Or do they want to end up in the morgue? The other thing we were able to do, nobody thought we'd be able to do it, is partner with our city council. Mm-hmm. And we fed 200 to 300 senior citizens every Tuesday and Wednesday for 10 years. Mm. A lot of times that's the best meal they had.
That's right.
And so it warms your heart to know that at least they had a good meal. And then lastly, we created the #1 reentry program in the country. And that program allowed returning citizens, is what I call them, from the state pen, partnered with, I know you know Nancy Flakes Johnson over at Urban League of Greater Atlanta, and the Department of Corrections. And we actually made groups of young men. Well, we didn't make them. They made themselves. They deserved it. They became city employees. And so while incarcerated, so instead of leaving jail or prison with $25 in a bus ticket, they left with $10, $15, $20,000 in the bank. For us, it was about changing lives. And the best thing about it, when their time was up, they served their time. They remained city employees. So they can start paying child support while they're incarcerated. They can start, catching up and really get ahead of life before they even get out. So, and now they're getting paid $16 an hour to be in the program. So it's just a wonderful opportunity.
And, a lot of times, Patrick, it is about a mindset shift, and it is changing, I hate to say changing of the guards, but it's because it's changing of a thought process. A lot of times we get to this place where we subscribe to what we've always subscribed to because we're not willing to think outside the box. I remember when we first moved to Atlanta, and I moved to Southwest Atlanta, and I ran for school board, and I was on the ballot with President Obama. But I remember some people I went to FAMU with who were saying that the incumbent that, I went to school, I played t-ball with her son. I want to support you, but I'm so committed because we grew up together. And I said, here's the thing. She has sat in that seat for 16 years unopposed. And I said, if this is what y'all call education, fine. But if you're looking for something different, then I'm your different. I said, because I'm not a part of a clique. I'm not a part. People will still ask me, where'd you go to high school? And I said, yeah, I'm from Tuskegee, Alabama. I'm not from here. But I did not win. We ran a campaign with $1,000. A group of parents came to me. We had $1,000. She had never been opposed in 16 years. And she won 53% to 47%. Wow. And I said, my purpose was for her to understand the commitment that she was there for, that I think for a long time she had kind of forgotten about. And so a lot of times, though, people aren't willing to embrace change for whatever reason. And so the ideas that you bring, the stuff that you have a track record of doing, it's already present. So for somebody who doesn't know you, tell them who you are and a little bit about your professional career, because I should have started.
No. And certainly, I wish we had this conversation 457 days ago, because not only did you inspire me, even with one day to go, I say that because in a nutshell, you have captured everything that I've been feeling for the last 2 years. And we have an incumbent that's been there for 12 years. I continue to tell our community, I think it's relevant here, and is that the only person that can sit in a job for 12 years and be half right or half wrong anytime is the weatherman. It's time for change, generational change. For me personally, I'm from these streets. Simpson Road and Westlake. That's where I grew up. Went to Frederick Douglass High School, Clark Atlanta University. Got my matriculation through Clark was a little different. I worked 11 at night to 7 in the morning. Went to school during the daytime. Got my master's degree. I got promoted up through the ranks. And in 2010, I was appointed chief. And I remained chief for 10 years. But the best part about it is we put a really great team together, and we were community focused. That was what we wanted to become from a jail perspective. In 2015, 2019, I was awarded Georgia Jail Association's Chief Jail Administrator of the Year, and that's for the entire state. I've had a great career and fun doing it. Now, it wasn't always fun, let me be clear. But when I was positioned to be able to lean into our community, that gave me so much joy from that perspective. And then so I could see better. And I thought from that perspective, we should do better. And so that's why we started the programs. But for me, this is passion. And so I can no longer sit on the sideline. I've retired in December, right after 30 years of service. And so as I sat and and really had a thought process of what can we do better, and be thoughtful about that. And to your point earlier, just seconds ago, we have been saddled with that same old thought process. So this is the best we can do, right? Mm-hmm. What I would tell my command staff is, don't think outside the box. Remove the box altogether.
Right.
Exactly. There is no box. And that's how we have to think. We have to, as you know, that 40 to 50% of the violent crimes right now in the metro area are being committed by less than 500 people. Mm-hmm. We know who these bad guys are. Right. Let's go get them.
Right.
The sheriff should set the tone for law enforcement in the county. There are 15 cities inside Fulton County. Certainly we can work with them, but and that's the platform. We want to partner and build relationships. That's how I was successful. I have a history of being able to do that. It's funny, I get a question all the time, and that is, well, how are you going to deal with 7 tough county commissioners? I have to remind you, I dealt with 15 city council members.
Right.
So, it's what we do. It's about building those relationships. But I am going to put more officers on the street. And it's not an enforcement tool. It is a community tool. We have to move from the warrior mentality to the guardian mentality. That's mm-hmm. another one of the things that President Obama highlighted in his 21st century policing. And we have to look beyond where we are right now. Mm-hmm. And so it's a wonderful opportunity. My wife and I have to thank her for taking this journey with me. It's been nearly 2 years. Now I have to tell you, when I win on tomorrow, I have promised her that she wants to reclaim some of her time. And I just say some of it, because we'll shut it down till after Labor Day. But then we have 4 months to transition. We have 4 months to hear from your constituents, but we also have 4 months to engage from a mental health perspective, as we talked about earlier, and really be just we can do this. We can change that paradigm. And you often hear the current sheriff say, well, that's just the best we can do. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not the best we can do. Anybody that's stuck in that position, and you'll hear the difference between, and I know you've done your homework, you'll hear the difference between me and the incumbent, and you'll hear it even more glaring when you listen to Melanie and some of the things that she's been able to do with the community in the short time that she's been sheriff. So those are the kinds of things. It is a changing of the guard. I salute the fact that he's spent nearly 50 years in law enforcement, but it's time for a change. And we have to be very thoughtful. And the time is right. Everybody is looking for change. Mm-hmm. And think about it, and I'll be quiet. Think about it. In the general election, June 9th, more than 60, almost 65% of the community voted against the incumbent. That says a lot. People are sick and tired, just like you got that 47%. Mm-hmm. We're looking for that 50 plus one, not even 50 plus one, just that one more vote. Voting is important. Voting is important, and I need your support.
And so we're going to end with you. So before I ask my final question, though, I want to say to the people that follow me and believe in me, I brought Patrick Labat on here because I believe in him. So I am no longer a resident of Fulton County. I live in Fayetteville. But if I lived in Fulton County, and I do own property in Fulton County, my office is in Fulton County in East Point, I would be voting for Patrick Labat. And so if I did not believe in him, he would not be here. And so he and his wife, Jackie, are exactly who you see him being right here. We met at an event. We just clicked and knew some people in common, and the rest was history for me. And so I've listened to what you've said. I've watched and I've studied, and you're right, I've researched, and I know that this is the time for you to be the sheriff of Fulton County. And that's why I asked you to be here tonight, the night before the last voting day. I was very strategic about it. And so I am asking my friends, my followers in Fulton County, if you have not already voted, go out and support Patrick Labat for sheriff, because I think that he is going to make an amazing sheriff, and there are going to be some changes coming down in Fulton County. So, Amen. My last question for you is, At the end of your life, what will people say about your dad?
Wow, that's
Yeah,
they were
that's some Dr. Adrienne.
that's
You know
deep.
I was pull some
That's
Dr.
deep.
Adrienne on you.
That's deep. That's deep. You know, and first let me say, before I answer, let me say thank you. Right. Because you have an engaging impact, right? People can't that you engage people and then you have an impact. A lot of people don't have that talent that you can't make it up. You are born with it. And that's something that a lot of us wish we had more of, the ability to engage and then have that impact. And so certainly I thank you for your leadership. I certainly hope that your followers and your viewers, those that have been, I'm sorry, my dogs are hearing.
It's all life.
Those that have been engaged and understand and follow your leadership know that we can make a difference.
Yeah.
And voting is important. But what do I want my dash to be? I want people to understand we made a difference, right? We touched someone's lives. We did what people said we couldn't do. See, that's important. We get stuck. We have so many people. I know you've experienced in your profession. So many people come and tell you how and why they think we can't get something done.
That's right.
Right. I want somebody to say that every time somebody told me I couldn't do something, we challenged the status quo. Every time that somebody said that it would be difficult, we made the difficult possible. And so, you know, as you know, as the folks say, I ain't scared. Right. Let's make it happen. We need your leadership. We need this kind of dialogue. And this is the one thing I'll ask of you as we get ready to part. And this is where I think we get better at what we do, is just make sure you hold me accountable. Absolutely. Right. We have had, as I tell folks, we've been in violent agreement. Right. That's a lot of passion that goes with it. But hold me accountable. And you have to have accountability partners. And I'd love to not just continue the conversation when the cameras are on. That impact that you have is one that allows me to, whether you're talking to me directly, see that's talent, right? You if you remember, you started the conversation with my wife.
Absolutely.
And that's the impact, right? That's how we engage. Yeah. And so hopefully we can, you will hold me accountable. Hopefully people will look at me as somebody that was a more than a change agent, right? Changed lives, offered people opportunities when they thought there were none. So that's me. That's my dash. And then my wife says, "Hey, let me be clear." The other thing is, please, I want your viewers to stay safe. I'm looking for us to come out the other side of this COVID-19 eventually, right? And it is absolutely horrible. And if you have not been touched by it, you'll know somebody that has been. And so again, thank you. People don't have to give you that time. And I'm very humbled that we were able to spend this time together.
And I appreciate you taking the time and being here. And you all go tonight and rest because it's already done. I believe that. And tomorrow we celebrate. And then on August 12th, my friend Jackie gets to have her husband back. And look, that's my daddy's birthday too. So that look, I know it's gonna happen just like that. So but thank you so much. Congratulations in advance. And
thank you.
Good luck to you. And for everyone who is on here, who has listened, please, if you have not already voted in Fulton County, go out and support Patrick Labatt for your next sheriff of Fulton County. So
amen.
Appreciate you so much and look forward to the journey.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care.